3, 2.
Broadcasting to you on WNN 1470 AM and TrentoVision.tv from the world's leading think tank laboratory, buried deep in an undisclosed building in hostile territory where evil and corruption is exposed. You're about to enter the Tom Trento Show.
All hands man your battle station.
Tom Trento heads United West, a group that says it defends Western civilization against the onslaught of Islam.
That's what we do around here. And hi, everybody. Tom Trento. I'm the one that just all those pictures.
Very handsome.
We're going to tell you about that in a second. But we have done a lot of shows since we started September 3rd, 2012. And we started in particular to be a bulwark against the onslaught of the Obama machine, to try to wake the United States up, wake up those who had any hope of maintaining independence, freedom, civility, free markets, all of this. And so we started on Labor Day, September 3rd. Since then, on the radio and on TrentoVision.tv, we've done probably something like 500 hours of programming. It's a lot of stuff.
Yes,
it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of talking.
A lot of talking. Getting ready and all the preparation. And so I had an idea. And this will either work or it ain't going to work, okay? I had an idea recently. And it really, the catalyst for the, and nobody knows. Here's CJ right here. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
None.
This is
Mark, you have any
He
idea?
tells us nothing.
Nothing. I hear nothing.
And Damon, intern.
I know nothing.
Abdullah. Normally, folks, we have a script. Here's the script.
Which we don't stick to, but at least
we're adherent to those scripts.
But we know what the show is about.
Yeah, we know what the show is about, and we have a pre-production meeting, and we get ready and we put all this stuff together. But I neglected to tell anybody what we're doing today. So, but I have an idea. There's a reason for that. So
he has a cunning plan.
You are going to be the recipients of a kind of new kind of one of our shows that's a little more freewheeling, maybe not, but a little more freewheeling than our normal shows. And the catalyst,
oh God, here it goes.
The catalyst for this idea occurred recently when the United States of America celebrated the 237th anniversary of our independence, the day the Declaration.
From
China. If you watched
Mexico.
If you watched our special, our July 4th special, we had a video about Mark Dice, who did some man on the street interviews, and American college students thought that we got our independence from China in 1976.
Mexico. La Raza is still pissed
I
about
think I
it.
have some of that video if you want to play it.
So go to.
He's trying to trick you, Tom.
I'm
He's
trying
trying
to
to
find
find
Go
out
to
where
July
you're going.
4th in our archives, The United West, youtube.com/The United West, or if you're on TrentoVision, just click right underneath, or even the United West website. It'll say, "Take me to your archives." July 4th, you can see that show.
Well, I actually have that video.
No, I don't want to do that yet.
No,
Actually, July
It's
4th.
I guess
freewheeling.
it's going to be
It's
something. I guess
freewheeling
not
now.
that freewheeling.
It's not that free. I do have something in my mind.
Okay.
So the 4th of July was the catalyst to my idea, which I'm revealing for the first time to our crew here, our team. And the background is, as we prepared for the July 4th show, and as we've done a lot of work regarding the framers, founders of this great country, you get to know a little bit about them. And you get to see firsthand through primary source documentation why they fought, why they invested what they did in a fight, in a revolution, an ideological revolution, a physical revolution, a war revolution. But what motivates these individuals to make these sort of commitments and sacrifices for a particular objective? So doing some thinking about that, because we're always fascinated, we here on TrentoVision.tv, and for those of you driving in your little fancy cars or your older cars, as the case may be, WNN 1470, WNN 1470 AM in South Florida, listening. We're always fascinated here, and it's human nature to be fascinated by why people do the extraordinary feats that they do, or simply mundane activities that have extraordinary impact. Why they do what they do. In this case, why do you fight? So I am going to ask our team in here.
Oh, God.
They always want to
It would be a
talk.
quiz.
They always want to talk. If you notice, my name is on the show, but they all want to talk all the time. I'm going to let them talk today.
So we're going to rename the show today, huh?
I'm gonna ask each of them to share. They know nothing about this. Their pilgrimage, and it's a 1 hour show, guys. Okay, it's a 1 hour
He's looking
show.
at me when he says that.
Their
CJ,
pilgrimage.
it's a 1 hour show.
Their pilgrimage from wherever they started to wherever they want to start, to how they wound up on this show and why they fight. Because all of us are involved in a very serious battle where people die fighting these issues, and where people die fighting these issues on the ideological level, and where people are going to die in greater numbers ideologically without ever having to pick up a weapon. So what would possess an individual to do the type of work that has no reward, no financial benefit, nothing like that? But people get up every day and do this. And it'll provide a good insight for all of you listening and watching. And hopefully it'll be motivation for you to figure out where you are in your life, whether it's a troubled life where you're handling more work, more complexities, more issues than you'd like to, and you understand some of these battles, you like to be involved, you just can't. Or whether you're in a position where there's sort of a mediocrity in your life. Maybe you've reached a certain point of financial stability, and you go, I'd like to do more. Well, listen to some of these stories. And I don't know these stories. I mean, we've discussed this generally in the past, but we're gonna share our insight with you. And I think the way to start this off.
I think we should start with you.
Well, I got a better one. We're gonna
Okay.
start with
Our mission statement.
Then we're gonna start with. This is going to be sort of an overview, because a lot of the work we do here at the United States, the United West,
Here in
West.
the United States at the United
We
West.
should
What an
be.
ego.
We should be the United States. We should be running the United States. We can do a better job running this country than the people that are there. There's no
100%.
doubt in my mind. We would turn the Situation Room into a cigar bar. It'd be great, man. It worked tremendously.
I think that solves half the problems
I like
right
this
there.
autocracy already.
Yeah.
One of our good friends, Mort Cuff, you've seen the artwork he does for us.
Yeah.
Right.
He sent me a letter yesterday, maybe it was today. We're not going to tell you the date because this show can play anytime. It's dateless, but we will tell you the time.
It's timeless.
We will tell you the time. It's 10 minutes after 5 o'clock on some day, somewhere in some year. So just listen. Tom Trento, CJ, the boys are back there.
Fabulous bunker boys.
A lot of our work deals with President Obama. That's why the show started. In all honesty, we're no friend of the president, and
Really, Tom?
and we've warned people that when you have a Pepsodent smile. Remember the Pepsodent smile commercials? That
When
big,
you brush your teeth with Pepsodent.
yeah, he has that big smile. He's a nice-looking guy. His clothes are impeccable. He
His
wears,
creases are to die for.
I mean, his suits are designed perfectly for him. He has the frame and the height to look very, very good. He has a nice appearance. So what? So what? Our president looks nice. What is he doing to your life? Okay, that's what we want to know. What is he doing to the world? What is he doing? But
you digress.
I digress. Yes, Mozart wrote this. I'm just going to share it. It's kind of one of his meandering, with a point, his letters, and I think it'll set the stage for why we do what we do, why we fight. And if we have time at the end, I got another little special thing. If you can give us a 2-shot, Mark, 2-shot for the non-technical people. If you're listening on the radio, it means nothing to you. But
This
if
is
you're
a
watching on
three-shot.
TrentoVision,
That's a
there's
two
2
shot.
people in a
That's
shot.
a one
There's a
shot.
1-shot. All of that.
Okay.
Give us the 2-shot.
Too bad Obama wasn't a one-shot.
He's doing that so I can't read my screen while he's talking.
No,
It's
what
a
we're going to
trick.
do, go back to the 2-shot. You guys out there that watch the show, and we have many fans, and it's growing. It's really growing at an amazing rate.
Billions of people. Are
You
watching.
see this stuff, and I always do this. I go, what is that? What is that ball thing? What is that? What is this? What is that piece of paper? We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what we do here. We're going to go a little wider. We're going to show you some of the other things that you may not normally see, and to give you a little look into our lives. Why? Because you're our friends.
Can we show him Mark's computer
And
bag?
we like to have friends, and you can be our friend.
'Cause
And
we like you.
friends donate to other friends. Always remember
They
that.
donate
okay?
securely.
They donate securely to other friends. So let's listen to Mort as he kicks off sort of a context to why some of us may fight. Mort's meanderings. Barack, baby, we understand. We really do. You may have to tune me down a little bit because I may get a little animated
Bellicose.
here. You wanted to be president because you long to reshape this nation and to share your vastly superior insight into the sophisticated matter of governing the affairs of your fellow man. Plus, you wanted the bling that goes with the job. We understand, we really do. You've always been told how special you were, and people had always smoothed the path in front of you because you were a, quote, clean and articulate black man, unquote, as you were once so lovingly described by your VP as Royal Honkiness, good old Joe Biden. We understand. We really do. And miracle of miracles, enough coerced members of labor unions, enough racists of all colors, and more than enough others who could smell something for nothing a mile away just gobbled up your redistribution of wealth rhetoric, and you were off to the races. The Republicans found an empty suit to run as their candidate, and hola, Barack, baby, you became the President of the United States. Simple as that. It's pretty good, Mort, huh? And
He's
it continues.
Did he really say bling?
Bling, he used the word bling, yes, yes.
He's so contemporary.
Mort, you're something else. With the able assistance of ultra-leftist Dumbo Democrat characters like Harry Reid, the Bela Lugosi of the Senate, and Nancy Pelosi, the rattlesnake-brained screed of the House, both operating under cover of darkness, things got done overnight just like magic. A bit of bribery here, a bit of intimidation there, a string of appointed czars beholden only to the anointed ones, some skullduggery here, and a few end runs around a recalcitrant Republicans in the Congress there. And hola, once again, Barack, baby, you were on a roll and unstoppable as a runaway freight train. No one wanted to spoil the progression of your lunatic policies that were implementing the dreams of your father's Marxist communist ideology. We've done a lot of work on that. Unrealistic reveres that have put our economy into the expressway of economic doom. All this is directly attributable to your mindless, overwhelming urge to punish the practitioners of the free enterprise system and redistribute the nation's treasure. that simply does not belong to you and therefore wasn't yours to give, but you did it anyway. There's not an awful lot you can do that you're not already in the process of doing to completely destroy this great country. Once you have opened every door to our governmental structure to permit the entry of the evils of Islam's Muslim Brotherhood, your treacherous work will be complete. However, we do understand the terrible obstructions that constantly plague your progress. One, those damn patriotic Republicans in the Congress, and two, those really ridiculous amendments to the Constitution of the United States. We understand, Barack, baby. We really do. Actually, today's 7-5. That's Mort. Not bad. Let's give Mort a hand for... Mort is in his 80s. He's an activist in his 80s. He had a career in business. Not a wealthy man, average wealth. He contributes. He learned how to shoot a camera and make pictures, and he contributes. And we're doing this show today to give you a sense of who the people are that fight and why they fight. He doesn't have money to donate to all the different organizations, but he said, I'll assist you, because he's done it with us for years, by shooting pictures and then providing you with the pictures and helping you market what you're doing. It's one of the things he does. And then he writes like this every couple of days. So for those of you who think you have no value, no talent, nothing to contribute to this fight, you do.
Do you know what? It's interesting. You know what I'm just remembering now? I've been working with you for about 4 years now.
Yeah,
It's
4 or
about
5
4
years.
years,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, whatever it is. Seems longer, but...
Seems
But
like
the
an
first-
eternity.
The first meeting that we had together, I said I wanted to call Mort, and I wanted Mort to sit
Oh,
in on
really?
that meeting, and we
Oh.
met at the Renaissance.
Did he do that? Did that happen?
He came. Yeah, he came with us to our first meeting.
Oh, so Mort's been a part
He's
of our
been a
life.
part of. Yeah, I mean,
Do we have a picture? Yeah, we have the, I think, Abdullah, you have the graphic of Mort, his own sketched graphic in your Mort file. It's under, I think he listed his name. Anyway, 18 minutes after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Tom Trento here,
On a
CJ,
day.
TrentoVision on any day. It's any day. WNN 1470, hello Tea Party community. You guys at the Tea Party, you are in the fight. And as we move more closely to midterms, November 2014, the welfare and the strength, the capability, and in fact the future of this country hangs in the balance. This show today is to give you a little insight into our life, to maybe motivate you a little bit more to jump into the fight, particularly having a revolution not like we've seen lately in the Middle East, where they slice each other's throats, but a revolution at the ballot box. Who wants to go first? Mark, Damon, Abdullah, intern Cindy. Cindy.
Cindy.
Have her go
And
first, because
little
we don't even
Cindy
know her.
Lou,
Cindy
who
goes
was
first.
no more than 2.
Cindy Lou Who.
No, Cindy Joe. What's
No,
your
it was Candy Joe.
Candy? Okay.
Yeah, Candy.
We're going to
Joe.
tell them about that too, but later.
No,
Who wants to
we're
go
not gonna
first?
say-
Let Cindy Lou Who go.
No, I'm
Candy-
not starting.
Candy
I think we
Joe.
should hear from the intern first.
Intern, without giving too much away about your life, because you may actually have a future.
Yeah.
Unlike us, we have
We're-
no. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
for a
about 1
job?
year from now, we'll all be
Right.
asking him for jobs.
That's right. I mean, what are any of us going to do? We're
We're done.
unemployable.
We're
Okay.
done.
Hi, Cindy Lou here is your new office manager. And so, Cindy, what have you done with your life over the past 4 years?
Rottenness.
I've just fought the Muslim Brotherhood, but let's get back to work, ladies. Yes, intern.
Yes.
Okay,
What
you
would you
took a
like
look
me to
at
tell
these
you?
guys. Okay, wait a second. We do have an intern. Okay.
Yes, we do.
All right.
He has a name, but we're
He
not
has
gonna
He has a
say.
name, which is up to him to disclose if he
And
wishes
what does,
to.
What does that say about our organization? That an intern can't use their name?
They can't get a job.
Something about being affiliated with a nationally recognized hate group.
And I think that's what the most difficult is that, understanding the organization. And obviously, when we met a while ago, Tom, in the beginning, my concerns and your concerns. And then when I started to really dabble in it, I don't know how any true American couldn't be involved in something like this. Because it's basically like Rome. Rome fell from within. So what's happening with America, if we don't step up right now, we're going to fall from within. And anybody that forgets history is bound to repeat it. Why did I come? Obviously for the electronics. I mean,
For the glamour of it.
Yeah. And then, truthfully, it was just to get some great experience, with what I want to do in the field that I want to go into. But then it grew into something else when I started to really get to know everybody here, get to know everybody that's involved. Whether you have your ups and your downs, at the end of the day, their hearts are true. And they're true because you don't hate. They're true because you bring voice, you bring understanding, you bring trust to something that most people are afraid to do. And I think what you guys are doing, other people are afraid to do it because it's called change. It's called difference. And I think that I'm at a point that I really enjoy it. Both sides of it. So, I think
the technical and the content side. And an intern came on board to help with the technical stuff, the video, the audio, and he
But
may
he didn't
be
stop there.
he may be moving on in a career that includes that, going to the university. That's usually where you get interns from. Thank you, intern.
No problem.
And the whole thing with not being able to say his name, we the United West has been designated by the Southern Poverty Law Center, bogus BS organization with $250 million in the bank, as a hate group. And we've done a lot of work on the SPLC. But because we have been designated a hate group, that could be negative on your resume if you're trying to go to a college. Oh, yeah, I worked for, the KKK is a designated hate group. And that's what the SPLC is trying to do. Lump all the pro-American, pro-patriotic groups in with the real hate groups. And that's why we have to protect some of the folks here by not saying their name on the air.
Family Research Center is pretty evil, too.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Perkins, General Boykin, a hate group. So thanks, intern. Who wants to go next
Mr.
to
Christian,
share?
you're a hate group
To share
in this
with our
country
good
right
audience. To share with our good audience why you fight.
Let's hear from Damon.
How did I get here?
Now, we're not normally the rule of thumb on television. For those of you driving on the car, we simulcast on TV as we show the person speaking. Once again, we don't want to show you the person speaking for a lot of reasons. So you're just going to hear a voice for a little while.
Mainly because he's not dressed.
But I'll draw a picture of him, okay?
I got here, I guess what activated me was 9/11, which is probably the truth for 90+% of the people that do what we do, here in America. So 9/11 motivated me. My grandparents were basically refugees from the Nazis in World War II. My grandfather was from what was Czechoslovakia, which was Hitler's very first move, and my grandmother was from Romania. They were married in Italy, hopped on a boat and got here. And I've seen my grandmother's tattoo. And so even before 9/11, I guess I had a little bit of never again in me.
Right.
And I was involved with another, I guess would be considered a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Found out about a big event being sponsored by the Florida Security Council, which is you. And there was a great proponent of free speech named Geert Wilders coming, who made a 15-minute film called Fitna, which basically just paralleled the text of the Quran with modern-day terrorism and was almost killed for it.
That was April of 2009 when we put that on. Yeah.
And actually, funny, I recruited you for that,
And
didn't I?
actually,
that's how we met.
CJ saw my. It was $150 to go to this thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't cheap, but I'd read about it. And
I'm still paying that off, even though it was $150, because third of the people go, I don't have the money. Give me it. Oh, yeah, come on in. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, come on.
You didn't give me that. I paid the $150. So anyway, it was pretty funny as I was signing in because the security was crazy.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You had the Dutch Secret Service was there.
Yeah.
We had our
West
own,
Palm. I mean,
cops,
there had to be 30 security
Yeah, we had
guys there,
county sheriff,
and it was
city police,
it was a process to get
Homeland
in.
Security.
CJ
Yeah.
was working for you. She looks down. She
She
goes.
ran it. She
goes,
ran the
Damon
thing."
Rosen. She goes, did you go to Piper High School? I go, yeah, I did. She goes, do you know so and so? I said, yes, I do. She goes, well, that's my sister.
Oh boy, oh boy.
So
Well, it was reversed, actually. He saw my name, which he's not going to say.
right.
Yeah.
So
What is your name? CJ.
CJ the CJ.
Yeah.
So that's how I met you that night, very
remember
briefly.
that.
You were busy, and always, and from that point, just saw what you were doing, what projects you were working on, the website, and see you do crazy stuff every now and then. And I guess we kind of got a little closer over time. I'd help you out when you needed to, and you'd call me and tell me when stuff was going on. And
Yeah.
I guess earlier this year, I said, you know what? I think this is my calling in life. I mean, because I spent hours a day reading on this stuff and really getting myself aggravated. And I'll tell you, since I feel like I'm doing something about it now, I don't have the aggravation anymore, because at least I'm not just
There's an
stuffing-
outlet.
I'm
There's an outlet.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not just stuffing so much junk and
Right.
hatred, not my hatred, but seeing all this hatred around the world and just putting it all in me and wanting to explode. This is an outlet, I guess, so I don't blow a gasket. And my way of trying to save the free world is,
I'll be watching the news or something, or read something, and your blood starts to boil, and I go, thank God we have a show tomorrow. Thank God.
Right.
It is
right.
an outlet indeed.
Because that's what happens when you see, if you're a thinking person and you see what's going on around you, either your blood is boiling or you say, okay, you know what, I can't handle it and I'm switching my brain off and I don't want to have anything to do with the world.
That's 70% of the country.
Somewhere
so,
in
yeah.
between that
Right.
is us.
Right.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're on the leading edge of that, saying, look, follow us into the...
well, we are the leading edge
yeah.
of that, and I know this from the people who contacted us after the election, which was so devastating for so many people we know. And literally, these people, they didn't want to get out of bed.
They hibernated for months.
Okay, they hibernated, but we didn't, because we were just as devastated as
Remember-
everybody else.
remember
And then
what we
we
did?
showed up the next day at the radio station. I brought cookies and I said, "Good morning, everybody. Here we are. Let's do a show."
Do you remember what we did that night, Mark? Election night.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Cigars and
There were the three of us
Yeah.
were at
not
Adam
sure.
Hasner's
yeah.
event.
The
and-
morgue.
Oh God, we
Oh,
walked
that was
into
bad.
Adam Hasner's victory party. Adam Hasner was running for
District
congressional
22.
seat. Yeah, congressional seat, from a state legislator to a federal legislator for the state of Florida. And we walk in around 9 o'clock, and it was a morgue. It was like a funeral.
It was. It was. I always wondered what happened on the losing side of a candidate. Now I know. I never want to go
Oh,
to
I've
one of
been on.
those.
Yeah, I've been in
You know,
both.
you know
I've been in
that's so
both
sad
rooms.
because I was invited to his debate, so-called debate between him and Lois Frankel.
Yeah, that's
and everybody in the room, and I was with a bunch of Democrats that were there, and they were just outright saying how disappointed they were in her speech. And then I was just flabbergasted when
he
she
lost.
pretty much blew him out of the water. But it's the redistricting was 4%.
That's the thing that did it, and she's a complete idiot, Lois Frankel. That's local politics, folks. But the point is, Mark, myself, CJ walked in, lost, and then somebody there was very well connected to the Republican Party in Washington and pulled me aside and said, "We lost." 9 o'clock at
like
night.
everything.
Yeah,
Like
we
everything.
lost. Okay,
Yeah.
Boom.
it's over with. We
Yeah.
lost. So the three of us went and Got a bottle of wine.
got
I
a bottle
think.
of wine, and we
Yeah.
sat down and
Lit a
said,
couple of
okay, what do we
cigars.
do now?
I said,
Box
let's
of
Lost the
tissues.
election, but you got 4 years of show material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's cry for an hour, and then we
Yeah.
got to be back at it.
Pick it up and go
We got to
Yeah,
go.
and that's what we do.
And that's
That's the
and we're
thing.
here.
You can sit it out and just watch the wave and wait for it to roll over you,
You
or
can't.
you can try to do something
ride
about
it.
it.
You can ride
or
that
you can ride the
wave.
wave,
Yep,
and it's
yep, yep.
sometimes you're up
Well,
like this, and sometimes
who wants to
you're
ride
down
next?
like this.
You
No,
or you?
no, let you go.
No, you go.
No, you go. No,
Kids.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper.
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Cindy.
Also,
Lou.
I met. We're not calling me little Cindy Lou Who.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
We were looking for a good nickname for
Cheryl,
me.
Cheryl Joy Gidget, a.k.a. Gidget.
Yes, Steve always refers to you. Steve.
I have control of the camera. You don't. Go ahead.
That's he's got a good point.
Okay, so I also had, the same 9/11 moment that everybody else did, except for I had always considered myself to be a Democrat. And I was but actually what I was the classic 1940s liberal Democrat, not the
You were born, what, 1940, you said?
yeah, 1940. I look
Looking
pretty
pretty
good for
good
my
there.
age.
Yeah, you're looking pretty good there.
It was funny to me that one of the first thoughts I had after 9/11 was, thank God Al Gore isn't president. That was one of my most immediate thoughts. And in the next few years after that, I didn't realize how conservative I was becoming. And I was living in Seattle, which is one of the most liberal cities in the country. And I answered a telephone poll from one of the Washington State pollsters right before the 2004 elections. And I knew all the state, local, national, city races, everything. I watched all the debates on government access television, even for the Port Authority.
Political nerd.
And I really did know all the issues. So one of the first questions they ask is, do you consider yourself to be a Democrat, a Republican, or other? And I said Democrat. Then we went through the top of the ticket. George Bush went through the Senate, the Congress, all the state races, insurance commissioner, everything, all the way down to the Port Authority. Which one would you vote for if the election were today? And I answered because I knew who all these people were. And then the pollster says, ma'am, do you realize that all of the people you named are actually Republicans?
Oh, you're kidding.
Because he didn't give the party identification. He just gave the names. Do you like this one or this one? And I knew the names. So all of the ones who I picked for every single race, national, state,
Wow.
county, and city,
that's pretty cool.
every single one of them was a Republican.
Wow.
And he asked me, did I want to change the answer to the first question was,
Are you a
which
Democrat or
was, do you
Republican?
consider yourself to be a Democrat or Republican or other? And I said, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm going to have to think
I gotta
about
think that
this
through.
now. And what
Does
am I
it
reading? I'm reading Front Page Magazine. I'm reading National Review Online. I'm reading commentary. I'm really educating myself about Islam, about leftist politics, and about the convergence of those two, and how does that impact the United States and Israel and the Jewish people. That's my concern. And
Being
I thought,
Jewish, you're a
being
Jewish
Jewish,
woman.
yeah. And I thought, okay, now I have to go find people who are like me. And where are
In
they?
Seattle? Yeah.
In Seattle, there
That's
weren't
a-
any. And so I came
Move to
to
Delray Beach.
South Florida looking for Jewish Republicans, and found a couple. But mostly, what I found
Found a
was
couple.
a really interesting Christian guy at an RJC.
Oh, yeah.
At an
yeah.
RJC meeting, which I think was my first RJC meeting that I went
Republican
to.
Jewish Coalition,
And
RJC.
you
I
were
was
the
speaker.
featured speaker. And
Yes.
and then immediately we started working
Yeah,
together
we
right after
bonded.
that. We
We
did.
bonded.
I said, "Oh my gosh, that's what I'm looking for.
Jews
This
had
guy's
a
going
Goyim
to do
speaker."
something."
So I'm a
And I wanna
rebound from
do
Seattle.
something.
I'm a rebound from
yeah,
Seattle.
so
And
you're
I
a
want to
rebound.
I want to do something. I don't want to sit back and watch this wave roll over me. I want to take some action.
Could have been
And
a poll
couldn't
watcher, you know?
I couldn't find really anything that had some teeth to it. Nobody's doing what
Well,
you were
hang on one
doing
second.
at the time with the Florida
very-
Security Council.
It's very interesting because in the array of tasks that are out there to fight the cultural and economic and immigration and terrorism issues, there's a million ways in which you, the viewers, listeners, can get involved. What we do is very unique, very specific, for the few, and not because of the difficulty level, which it is, but because it's tough work, right? It's interesting that instead of you coming to Florida and sitting down with the RJC, would you like to be a poll watcher? Would you like to bring the desserts out on every? Yeah, you go from Seattle. I got to do to jumping into a very unique organization very, very quickly. The way I interpret that, having seen this many times, is that God is in control of a lot of little things and brings a unique team together at a unique moment in history for unique tasks. Continue.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. I think in our case, that's exactly
without
what
question.
happened. And we had Joe Kaufman on a few weeks ago. I was actually doing rallies and events with Joe Kaufman, and ended up going to Tallahassee for the first Muslim Day with you and
Wow.
Joe to help both of you when we had that historic event, and then we.
That was early 2009.
And then we got together and sat down after all the festivities were over and had cigars and wine, and you kind of looked at me and said, "Okay, tell me about yourself. What are you doing? Why are you here? Et cetera, just like you're doing
I just
now."
realized something, Tom.
And
Real quick, going back to the Muslim Day thing.
yeah,
the first one.
The very first one.
That's where
Yeah.
you came in on.
Ahmed Badir in
Yeah.
his
He
Muslim-
brought all of us together.
yep.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you. No, because without Ahmed Badir, we probably would never have
That's
met.
right.
That's
Isn't that-
right.
isn't that
I
wild?
went there
We
to
should
fight
next
him.
Time next time we see Ahmed Badir,
We should thank
go.
him for bringing us
Thank you.
together.
We just thought about this. Without your influence in our lives, we would have never met to fight you.
And for our audience out there,
That's so good.
Ahmed Badir is an international Muslim Brotherhood leader.
Yeah.
He was in Tahrir Square 2 years ago helping overthrow Mubarak.
I wonder if he's back there now.
Yeah, what's going on?
Where
here?
is Badir?
He has zipped his lip. If you look on his social media pages, he's not saying a word
he
about
had some
any of
comments.
this. What did he say? What did you hear?
He had some comments that this was absolutely a coup. That he's ripping on the people. That the second round of protests here is fully behind Morsi.
Oh, you're kidding. me.
Absolutely.
He
Really?
has to be.
We got to get that.
Yeah,
We gotta get
I'll
that.
find
to
it.
be.
No, he's for democracy. All right. Well, that's one of the guys we fight. He was the head of CARE, one of the heads of CARE in Florida. He has a bogus organization now. It's a Muslim Brotherhood Front group.
Yeah.
But it's ironic because I went to Tallahassee from South Florida in March 2009 to stand against him. You went up to help, but you were helping Joe Kaufman, who's a
We
counterterrorism
went around
analyst.
and we gave all the briefing packets
All
to all
that
the
stuff.
legislators. That was you and I.
Now
I
you
should-
came from where? Orlando.
I came from Orlando.
What made you come up there?
I wanted to videotape the event because
How'd you hear about it?
Alan Corman.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So Alan said this thing's going on up there in Orlando, and so I said, well, let's videotape because we just started videotaping a whole bunch of stuff. We busting CARE at church at picnic events and stuff like that, and ran up there to
busting up their picnics.
no, seriously, they were handing out jihadi material
good.
at their picnics, and so
Disrupt,
we were.
disable, destroy.
And then Robert Spencer picked up a bunch of our work and everything like that. So it was really a kind of an eclectic group.
You guys
We
were
kinda-
involved in Act for America
Yep.
at the time.
I was
and-
actually involved. I was actually and then, well,
Yeah, and
Long-
Kelly Cook was
but
one
he
of the
came, yeah.
speakers at that
so I went up there
event,
to film the event of the speakers, and I was sitting there filming the event out there, and Tom looks like, who's this guy here?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm up here from Orlando. I'm involved in activist, counter jihadi stuff. He goes, and so Tom immediately looked at me and said, free cameraman, free editing.
Yeah.
So-
Come meet Garrett
Okay, so
Wilders.
you could be a spy.
He goes, come to Gert Wielders, and
Yeah.
that's
You
we
could be
did-
a spy.
so-
It doesn't matter. It's free. That's the operative word.
So,
Yeah.
so Tom saw the availability of a free cameraman with free
Do you
editing.
remember how
equipment.
you tortured me at those events?
Oh, yes,
those
I
early
did.
events. Oh my gosh.
I have the Ahmed Badir quote if you want it.
Yes.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Former CARE Tampa executive director Ahmed Badir, or as he likes to say, Ahmed Badir, still a prolific fundraiser for the group, questioned protesters' motives and wrote that frustrated Egyptians should hold their powder for 3 more years until there's another election. Dear
Wow.
Egypt, in any real democracy, political leadership is decided by the ballot box, not the street. If you don't like the current government, go vote, win a majority in parliament, and create a new government, Badir wrote on his Facebook page. 2.5 years after overthrowing Mubarak and military rule, the Egyptian people revolt to end democracy and bring back Mubarak's
He's
military
pissed.
men to power.
He's pissed.
Oh wow. That
Wow.
sounds like it could be the White House press release.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Isn't that what Obama was saying in Africa?
And he told you, Mark, because
Yes.
you've sat down with him.
Oh, yeah.
You go, I'm not a Muslim brother. I don't even know anything about any of that stuff.
No, I had a really cordial, it was a funny conversation with him. I was sitting there, I walk up to him and going, Ahmed Badir, I've been dying to meet you because I'd never physically really met him.
He's a national figure.
And he runs away every time I come near, and I walk up to him and I, Ahmed Badir, how you doing? I'm so glad to meet you. And he didn't recognize me at first, and he goes, hi, I'm J. Mark Campbell. He goes, you're J. Mark Campbell.
He doesn't like your videos.
He goes, and he started, I go, hey, I'm just you think I hate you? I really don't, It's, you just have a different viewpoint.
There's absolutely no hate. You would actually like to be his mouthpiece. You'd like to tell the world what he's saying.
After a while, he actually offered me a job to come work for him because he did like our work. So we'll take it as a compliment from that.
Yes. And that's very interesting, though, that he is.
But he's
he
a
took
total
position.
Muslim brother.
Yeah,
Total
he's
Muslim brother.
total brother.
And he denied it. He goes, I don't have a Muslim Brotherhood card. I don't have anything like
Yeah.
that. I go, yeah, right.
All right. Go ahead. Continue.
So why do we do what we do?
You. Why
do I do
you
what I do?
Yes.
Just like I said, I can't let the wave come over me without doing something about
What do you
about
attribute
it.
that to?
I don't know. I have no idea. I ask myself this all the time.
know.
Why am I doing this? Why?
Yeah, what was
It's
your
so
come to God
easy to
moment?
take the easy way out. It's so easy just to say, you know what? I don't like dealing with any of this. I don't want to know about any of this. I want to go to work. I want to,
Ostrich, head
play
in the
with
sand.
my family. I want to go out. Basically, like most of the people who voted, especially if they voted for Obama, they don't want to know about it. And
Yeah, but what the question? The question.
consistently unable to
No,
do
you
that.
can't. Well,
I cannot.
The question that
I cannot do that.
I'm asking you guys for the sake of our very loyal viewers and listeners
If you look
is
around,
why do those guys? Because
Do what they
they
do.
like to show. Yeah, why? What motive? What is
if you look
behind all that?
around, if you look around the world, if you look what's happening with Iran, if you look at the danger that Israel is in, and if you look what's happening in the United States, and if you're a Jewish person who cares about the survival and well-being of the Jewish people, you have to know that what's going on there and what's happening in this country is a train wreck for the Jewish people.
Yeah, but that's what you're observing.
and you have to do something to stop it.
But that's the issue.
You
What-
have to do something to stop it. You cannot just sit back and say, let's have some polite meetings and talk to Lindsey Graham and see if we can influence John McCain. You know what? Been there, done that, doesn't work. Those guys are not going to get the job done. We have to do it for
But
ourselves.
why? Why? You don't know why you do it. You're describing what you do. I'm digging down into your psyche.
I'm unable
Why?
to not do it.
Okay.
I'm compelled.
All right.
I hate to
I
say
have
it
to.
based on some chain
I
of
was-
emails that I've had recently, but it's like supernatural forces are pushing me or something.
Okay.
Really, I don't. I'm
All right.
not able to do nothing. I did nothing for years, and I always. I come back to it. I say, this is where I have to be. This is what I have to do. And that's
Okay.
it.
I think what it is, for me, is I have to.
Yeah.
Well, take us on the trip.
And well, I'm getting there.
Oh, you're going backwards? Okay.
Yeah, I have to. It started, when the buildings came down. That's when it all began. I knew nothing about Islam. I couldn't even. The book's Quran. That's
Right.
that's the way I was. I was completely ignorant about this other culture, other society, and my first initial question was, well, why do they hate us? And so I started reading the books, by Edward Said and all the liberal left publications, and my wife's a Democrat, so I'm looking, for all these different answers, and everything they were telling me didn't make logical sense. I came from a engineering background. I was a computer network engineer. Everything's very 0 and 1 to me. That's the way my mind thinks. There is no gray area with me. It's either yes, no. It's very linear. And when I started looking at the explanations I was getting from the left, it was all touchy-feely, airy-fairy, lovey-dovey, they, whatever.
Kumbaya.
And it was very subjective. There was no objective methodology of what it was. So then I started, all right. And I'm telling you, I really looked for like 6 months to 8 months trying to figure this out.
This is right after 9/11?
Right after 9/11. So then I said, well, none of these people know what the hell they're talking about. And so I started writing books to learn. I said, well, I'm going to figure this out on my own then. Because that's why I do most things in my life. I figure them out on my own. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing all the research, and I, ran across some authors, Robert Spencer and some other people, and they started to make some sense. I said, well, hold on, there might be something here. So I kept going and going and going and going and going, and just wrote. And then it started to click on me what the end problem was, and it was about the subjugation and persecution of women. I feel it is the basic core, still to this day, of where it is in the Islamic world. That's where they get their power from. So to make a long story short, I started to say, well, let's go out there and let's see if this is actually happening on the ground, because people are saying that all this Islamic jihadi activity is happening. Let me see if I can go find it. So I grabbed myself a camera, figured out how to use it, and started filming it. And just kept going and going and going. My initial, was to find out why these other people hate us. What did we do to make them mad that they want to kill us?
Right.
And it came from that complete self, if you will, how we've been trained to blame ourselves.
Right.
And give it back. And that was then I realized that thinking was completely wrong, that this has nothing to do with what we did. This is
not
all
us,
about
it's
there.
them.
And also along this journey, I kept before I started on this, I asked, how could something like Hitler come to power? And how could people not do something about it if they knew what Hitler was doing? Why did the leftists know about the Hitler concentration camps? They did nothing about them. How could you know something that was going on like this and not do anything about it? And then I realized, oh my God, it's happening again.
Right.
Yet we're not.
Islamofascism.
It is not, but we're not exactly where they're throwing people in the ovens right now, but we're in that precursor stage.
No, they're just
Advocating
screaming for it.
They're just screaming
They're
for it.
advocating it.
They're calling for
Yeah.
genocide.
Yeah.
And how could you not do something? I mean, you have to. I think what you're looking for, you have to do something if you see it.
Yeah.
Once you know what the problem is, you know what to do.
And the thing that's so interesting about all this is it's not like 9/11 happened in a vacuum and that there were no clues
Right.
that this could happen or would happen before then. It had been happening for decades in Israel, and the world went ho-hum. They welcomed Arafat at the UN when he did his little victory laps
Right.
at
Yep.
the UN. You remember that? Zionism is racism.
1993 World Trade Center.
And then we had, the other attack, 1993 here. When I was in school, the first editorial I wrote for my college newspaper was to warn people about a representative of the PLO coming to campus and not to be fooled by the suit that he wears and his Western manners, and to remember that he's a terrorist. When 9/11 hit, it was shocking to me in this country that pretty much from the top down, everybody had the reaction that Mark just talked about when he said, "Why us? Why me?
What did we do wrong?"
What did we do? Why do they hate us?" Because for years I had known who these people were to begin with and what their hatred was all about. And I couldn't figure out why so many educated people in the government and the media and the colleges and everybody else didn't get that too. It was kind of an assumption on my part that everybody knew and they just didn't care because it was usually Jews. But then when it came down to everybody else, then they were concerned. But that didn't happen, and that shocked me. And
Well-
that's what's flipped my switch.
Well, in the last few minutes here, what I would like to know is, why did Tom get involved in all this, and what is his
Yeah.
motivation and rationale
How do you go from
Yeah.
being a Christian
Christian
activist
to working with a Jew,
for-
Unitarian, and everybody
Yeah,
else?
for Christian causes,
Yeah.
for pro-life causes,
Yeah,
and
all
then
that
you
stuff.
switch yourself and you start doing this.
Switch gears. Well,
Yeah.
I was making some notes as you guys were talking. There seems to be some undefined characteristic, and I was trying to get at the characteristic.
Yeah, you
Define an
character-
activist.
And I've actually, you just asked this question today, but I've actually thought about this question at long periods of time, and I have no idea. And I really don't have an idea. I just know I have to do it.
Yeah, it's like you're
It's an
compelled.
undefined character. I may be able to fill in the blanks a
He's
little
going to
bit.
tell us
He's
why
gonna
now.
tell us
I
what we
think.
do.
I think.
Let me
Is
tell
that
you
answer in
what's-
the back of the
yeah,
Bible?
Let me tell you what's wrong with all of you people.
No, I think I may be able to fill in the blanks. At least offer something for your consideration at 52 minutes after 5 o'clock. Sometime, somewhere, someday, as this mystical show plays into your ears. It's irrelevant what day this is, folks. The relevant part is we're sharing our lives with you, giving you a little insight as to why we fight this fight, and to take this fight from the ephemeral, kind of cloudy, to more specific, the fight for good against evil. And it's clearly articulated in the Islamic jihad being evil by any legitimate definition, and we're staying on the side of good, fighting that. And then on maybe a step or two down on political systems, one that says the centralized control of a government is the best for human beings. We disagree with
Yeah,
that.
we don't buy that.
We say decentralized is better. And if you got 2 or 3 people living together, those things may not be important. If you got 200 or 300 million living together, they impact you and your children, your children's children, your children. So we get in those kinds of fights. We fight ideologically. Why do I fight? Very similar. There's something in me that drives me, and that I'll define it as a sense of justice, and I'll explain that in a second. A characteristic that is wired in me that just flashes back at injustice and requires the correction of that to something just. Okay, so if that's what's going on in my life, why is that there, and how did it manifest itself into doing what I'm doing today? That part, as a Christian, is chosen. I truly believe people that do this kind of work are chosen by God to do that work, because in the alternative, if we didn't have this thing driving us, that if it could be controlled into something else, probably our friends and families and everybody else would be a lot better for it because we drive them all crazy. But when you're chosen, you have no alternative but to continue to move ahead with that sense of justice. I can root mine back to being a very little kid, growing up on the mean streets of Newark, New Jersey. I was a little skinny kid and was very athletic from day one. Didn't have one of these to play with. I had a ball, something like this, or a football, and we were out in the streets, playing every day. And because I could run fast as a little kid, I always got picked by the bigger kids to be on their team because they wanted the little skinny fast guy. Nobody's called me skinny in a while. Got to get that back.
Well, we can if you want
Got to
us
get
to.
that back. Got to get that back.
Call me skinny, will you?
Yes. Easy, Cindy.
That is not going to stick, guys.
And I noticed, you do teams, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, however you do it. We had some not so lovely ways of choosing the teams, right? But I would go on the older teams, and I'd look on the other side, and all the slower, a couple of good guys, and it would drive me nuts as a little kid. And when everybody was picked, I'd say to one of the slower, fatter kids, maybe, "Hey, you switch with me."
Right.
And he goes, I said, "You just get over here. You're switching." And the guy who was choosing the sides would go, "You can't do that. You want me to play? I'm playing over here." It's that simple. And I remember as a little kid doing that. Yeah. And I only realized this a few years ago, believe it or not. I look back on my life saying, why do I do this crazy stuff? And I was able to track that through my life to wanting to go into the FBI with a sense of justice of the most elite group of police officers to go after bad guys. I got to do that with my life. Right. So I studied to go into the FBI, and then while in college, God became a born-again Christian, that term you hear here and there. And it was very interesting in my pilgrimage. The sense of justice now became a sense of law. So I went to study theology to go to law school. And I was applying to law school on a Saturday in Chicago, and I learned about something else called apologetics, and we'll have to continue this another day. But apologetics is the art and science of defending the Judeo-Christian worldview. I said, I can become a lawyer, but I'd rather deal with God's law and defending that as it relates to the world. And I went to school after that and became an apologist, in which point I started studying Islam. This is back in the 70s and 80s. And I saw Islam as a very evil system that is just deadly and destructive.
Yeah.
Then cut to September 11th, and we'll tell you part 2 of this. But just like everybody else, I said, okay, the sense of justice was focused on that. And I said, this is the battle we will die fighting, because it's going to be very long, very bloody, very bad.
Yeah.
And if we can avoid it, if anybody can stay out of it, stay out of it, because if you could, you don't belong in it.
Definitely.
If you can't stay out of it, you've been called to it. Face it, live with it, and do it, because the results will be powerful, as you see by what we do. Okay, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we have another minute. I
Well,
forgot. We got a minute.
Real quick, you said something earlier which kind of triggered something in me. I remember being back in Little League Baseball, and I slid into second base, and I was out, and the umpire called me safe, but my sense of justice made me get up there and say no. I called the umpire over and said, no, I was out. He tagged me.
Yeah.
The umpire said, okay, you're out. I went back to the bench, and boy, did
my God.
did my teammates just go, well, what the heck are you doing? I go, I was out, and I guess that's the reason I like watching golf, because that honor is there.
Right.
And
No, more so for you. I got to do
Yeah,
the clock here. More so for you. You see the world in ones and zeros, black and white. You saw it in black and white then.
Right.
And that carries over to right now.
Yes.
That's how you were wired, but you don't believe God called you. That's your problem.
Yeah.
Let's pray for Mark.
Yeah, let's pray for
Okay.
Mark. Yeah. I'm praying that God has called me.
Okay. And I think that's it, folks. We got to say goodbye. Thank you. We want to share a little bit of our life for all of you so that you maybe
you.
can do a little bit of what we're doing. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.